going on, everybody? It is Tuesday, December 6th, 2022. Last month of the year, the last few weeks here as time is ticking down. This is episode 4 of the Go Figure podcast. Today's topics, boys and girls, we've got some good ones for you. The Money segment is about the stock market versus real estate. Which one of those is the best investment opportunity for you in 2023? We're going to be talking about that. We've actually got a little slideshow I think you're going to really enjoy with that.
Yeah, from there we're going to talk week 13, and it was a wild week, a sad week for many, but we're going to dive into week 13 and what went on in the NFL.
A wild week, no doubt about it, and we're going to talk about, Ty was at a game this weekend, and so we'll talk about that experience there. Got some great pictures. We've got Sports 2.0. We're doing 2 sports segments this week, this day, and reason is because the U.S. men's national soccer team lost in the World Cup on Saturday to the Netherlands. It was very, very sad. We're going to break that down, but ultimately some progress there with the U.S. men's team.
All right, and then from there, we're going to get into our mindset piece. We're going to talk about the number one value and principle that successful people live.
Amen. Can't wait for that. And then we've got our political segment. We're going to talk about censorship by surrogate, talk about Elon Musk dumping those documents, the Twitter files that they're calling their top secret. We're going to talk about that and what that means for free speech and freedom and so forth in this country. Now, if you're an Elon Musk fan, you're at the right place. If you don't like Elon Musk, then you should probably go to another channel.
Yeah, from there we'll dive into the family piece, and we're going to talk about inflation increases and financial stress for many families and some strategies and some actions you can take.
All right, so 6 exciting topics, trending topics. They're going to matter for you as a business owner, for you as a family person, a parent, and that are going to certainly have an impact for you in 2023. So let's go into our money segment here. Stocks versus real estate. Which investment is the better investment? So there's this little article here in Investopedia. And Investopedia breaks down some of the numbers about stocks and real estate. And we actually created a little slideshow here, John. So if you want to click on that slideshow and kind of show that to everybody, let me know when we're up and running with that. All right, I see you there. Perfect case. So we've got stock market versus real estate here. And then on the next slide, according to the data from Investopedia.com, a very reputable site, it says from March of 1992 to March 2022, the U.S. housing market earned an average of 5% per year in growth appreciation, value going up in value, and the S&P 500 earned 9.65% per year. So it looks like, according to those numbers, the stocks make twice as much as real estate. So is the fight over? Did the stock market win hands down? What do you think, Ty?
I don't think so.
No, not even close. And we're going to blow your mind with a lot of the numbers that people don't quite understand, because real estate has so many different facets and ways to make money, whereas stocks, you pretty much just buy and hope it goes up. Sometimes it goes down quite a bit like they have so far in 2022. And then with real estate, there's all these different ways. And the big thing is leverage, right? Like if I'm buying a share, I can't really leverage that too much per se. But if I'm buying real estate, I can. And so as you go to this next slide, this is where real estate sets itself apart. So let's look at an average example. Let's say that you are buying a home for $250,000, and it's super smart if you can buy in the affordable range, because those are homes that are going to be less impacted by higher interest rates and fluctuations that go up and down with real estate prices. But the thing is, you can leverage. You didn't have to put $250,000 cash to buy that home. You only had to put, let's call it maybe 20% down as a non-owner occupied property. So I'm a real estate investor. I put 20% down. That's $50,000 on a $250,000 purchase. Yet I get all the benefits of owning the $250,000 home. So here's where it gets wild, right? If you buy the stock, hopefully it's going up 8 or 9%. By the way, that doesn't include all the fees of owning it. If you have a mutual fund, a 401k, these financial companies take some pretty hefty commissions, all right? But if I put 50 grand down on a piece of property that I'm going to rent out, just a single family home, well, here's where it gets exciting. So watch this. If the property goes up 5% per year, it's not 5% on my $50,000, it's 5% on the whole $250,000 home. So watch this, over 5 years, that is a $62,500 increase. So I put 50 grand down. My 50 grand becomes $62,500 on average, with a 5% increase every year. That's the average over the past 30 years. And basically that breaks down into a 25% annual return on that $50,000 investment. So why is it so hard to, why do we not understand this? And why isn't this taught in school? And you're a big real estate investor, Ty. What's your thoughts on this?
Yeah, my take on this, Leo, it's kind of interesting because I've even had this feeling before where, okay, I'm 30 years old. I've been self-employed for quite some time. I don't have a 401k. I don't have an IRA. Oh no, because that's what you've been taught your whole life. Yes. If you don't have a 401k, if you don't have an IRA, you're doomed. And I've found myself thinking many times like, oh no, what am I going to do when I retire? And then I realize, I'm 30 years old and I have 8 different properties under my name. Yep. Why am I getting so stressed out? Because I look at what these properties are going to do over the next few years, plus what I can do to acquire more properties, and I can have my dinky little 401k that I can access when I turn however many years old and live on that forever, or I can have 20 different properties bringing in a few $1,000s a month and live the lifestyle that I'm used to throughout my retirement. It's just a different way of retiring, but a way that you can actually get that money working for you, because when you break it down like that, yeah, you're only putting 50K down, but you're making the money on the whole 250. That's called leveraging other people's money.
Absolutely.
But you're not going to go take a $200,000 loan and throw it all in the S&P 500. No one seems to do that.
But the big thing you brought up there is income. Most stocks you own, even those that supposedly pay a dividend, these are small dividends, and those stocks usually don't go up much in value over time. And when you own that property, not only are you getting the appreciation, the property's going up in value, you're doubling your money every 5 years, but guess what? If you are buying the right way, you're earning income. You're earning cash flow by owning that property. So these properties that you own and that we own together and so forth, these properties are earning us income every single month. And your 401k, your retirement account, that's not how it works. You take the money out and it doesn't replenish itself. It doesn't give you a check every single month. And that's where people are missing the boat and thinking the stock market and the traditional, let's call it the scripted life, where you go to college and you have all those student loans and you get a job that doesn't pay nearly as well as you thought, and you struggle to pay the student loans off, and then you hope you can buy a home, and then you invest your money in a traditional 401k, and then it goes down 20% like they have so far in 2022. And yet when you retire, even if you have a decent amount, if you to put that same money into 10 homes or 20 homes that make you $500 or $1,000 a month in cash flow, and you know what happens with the rents? They keep going up too, right? Rents go up every single year, and for sure over time they go up, and then the value of the property goes up, and so you're making income, and then you can sell it down the road and make all these profits, and then there's more benefits that you didn't even think about. So let's say you rent this property out, you bought it for $250 and you're earning $200 a month. Not a lot of money, but over a year it's $2,400 extra dollars, another $12,000 over, let's call it 5 years, and we're not done there. Because guess what else is happening? You're getting that rent, you're getting a profit after you pay the mortgage. And so what's happening to the mortgage balance?
It's going down.
It's going down. And so now I owed $200,000. Well, 5 years later, now I'm down to like 188, 185. Let's just say conservatively we're down to 188. So now I earned another $12,000 by paying the mortgage down. So I earned $12,000 from the rent, $12,000 by paying the mortgage down, and the property went up $62,000. Like, this is such a powerful concept, and most people have no idea of all the different ways you can make money with real estate and leveraging it. And so if you add all this up and go to the next slide here, we've got $12,500 with the appreciation. We've got another $12,000 in rental income over a 5-year period. We've got $12,000 that we paid the mortgage down by. So that's a total of our $50,000 became $86,500 on the $50,000 that we invested in a 5-year period. Of course, it would become much more in a 10 or 15-year period, and you'd start to aggressively pay that mortgage down. But the cool thing is you're averaging $17,000 a year on a $50,000 investment. That's a 34.6% return. So then it becomes real simple math. Well, which one would you prefer? You could earn 34% in real estate or 9.65%. And that's, by the way, before all of the fees. And there really aren't. We already took all the fees out. By the way, we didn't even talk about tax depreciation. Like, you get to save all this money on taxes. And so what's your thought? What's the better investment?
I mean, it's a no-brainer, right? The one caveat I would say, I mean, if you have an employer that's going to give you an awesome match and you've got a 401k option there, still probably do it, but don't let that be your retirement plan. Like, get going with real estate right now because there's so many advantages. And at that point right there, 1 year in, you can now take that money and reinvest it into multiple properties. Whereas with the 401k money, it's there, it's stuck. You're not pulling that out.
And I just did a podcast with a couple out of Canada that started investing in real estate. They had their 9-to-5, and a few years later, they got to quit that 9-to-5, and they're completely financially free. They got 3 kids. They travel. They own all these properties. They own properties across the world. And so I've seen that so often, that real estate, but I don't ever see that about, oh, I saved all my money and put up my 401k and I retired and my family travel. Like, I haven't had that guest on the podcast. I've been looking for it. I don't know if maybe.
We talk to those people all the time, and that is, when is my money going to run out? Not how do I build more money? It's a totally different mindset
100%.
there.
So I think we've made the case. Real estate is the better investment. It is going to blow stocks and bonds out of the water. And even when real estate, the value might come down a little bit once in a while, you don't really feel it because you're making money, you're cash flowing, you're renting that property out, you're saving on your taxes, and you don't get that benefit, with stocks. And so I think it's pretty clear the case is concluded. Real estate is the investment, and Ty's right. Like, if you've got a 401k, that's cool. And if they're matching those investments that you're putting in there, that you're investing in that every single month in your paycheck, cool. Take advantage of that. It's free money. That's good money. But then make more money, save some money, put money away for down payments, and buy properties. And you know what else? There's going to be a lot of opportunities the next year or two with seller finance properties, because people are going to struggle with higher rates on mortgages. And so that's the other thing. Like, you can consistently make money in real estate regardless of what's happening when you've got the right strategies with that. So that was kind of fun putting that together. I hope you guys enjoyed that little slideshow. And we'll definitely make this a single video and share it out there on all the channels so you guys can review that in the future here. But Ty, that's our money segment. It's time to transition into sports.
All right, week 13. It felt like the old NFL again, with Miami losing and Tom Brady getting a comeback win. It was Deshaun Watson's back at it. That was wild to see. But yeah, starting out, Tom Brady. I don't know if you watched that game last night.
Did, man.
You're a Saints fan.
I sure did. We were Saints fans, and Jonas and I were feeling pretty good, and Marcus. And then at the end, I mean, Tampa just looked terrible the whole night on offense. And it reminded me a lot of that Rams game a few weeks ago, where somehow he ends up with the ball with no time. So what were you thinking when Tampa's like, Todd Bowles, the coach, is like, no, Tom, we're going to punt here with like 5 minutes left, and you're down. What was the score? It was 16-3, right?
Yeah, they were down 13 points, and I think it was less. I think they were at like the 4-minute mark.
Oh, my.
And they weren't too far backed up. They were probably their own 35, 40-yard line. They send in the punt team, and Tom says, absolutely not, sends them back. And then there's a timeout on the field, and Todd Bowles wins the battle, and they do end up punting. At that point, I kind of was thinking, oh, no. I just didn't think Tom was going to get the chance. I didn't think he was going to get the ball twice.
I thought it was over. So how are you going to get 2 touchdowns, 2 scores, and you haven't been able to move the ball all day long, and you're punting with just a few minutes left? Like, this is over.
Yeah. I mean, but the problem is the Saints then shifted their whole mentality, and they started playing not to lose, and they go 3 and out, give Tom the ball, they march down.
Who do you put that blame on for the Saints?
That's coaching.
Damn right it is. It's the head coach. Sean Payton's your coach. That's not happening. I think they ran the ball 3 straight times, very predictable. Saints put everybody in there to stop. You go a play action and you hit someone out there, or even an RPO with Taysom Hill. I mean, you do something something to be creative to get the first downs and end the game, and they didn't do that. Then they punt, and then the Bucs get the ball back, and they get a PI. And what'd you think? Was that pass interference?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
100%. Guy's cutting in. It's a perfect ball. He's draped all over him, pulling him on the back of his shoulder pads. Easy pass interference. TB12 does a little play action, hits the tight end, quick touchdown. All right, now it's 16-10, and then the Saints get the ball back on offense, and it's second down. And they actually did throw it, except Andy gets sacked for like 10 yards or something.
Yeah. Yeah, at that point, it's too late. Like the possession before that was when you needed to make your move.
Yeah.
At this point, you do what you can, try and get a first down, try and milk a little bit of clock. They didn't do either.
They just about got that first down, though.
Yeah.
It's 3rd and 17, and Andy throws a strike, and Taysom's got it, and he's going to have the first down. And he's bringing the ball down. He gets hit by 2 players, both on the ball. I don't know if anybody can hold on to that ball.
Yeah, I mean, no one's holding on to that ball.
I don't think so either.
Not only
I know
was he
Taysom felt bad about it,
Yeah.
but he had a great game. He scored a 30-yard receiving touchdown. He had a 22-yard pass to Olave. I thought he played a really solid game, and he was pretty upset with himself. But I don't think anybody's catching that ball because he had it with his hands. He went out in front. He didn't wait for it. And he got hammered perfectly. There's just no way.
Yeah, I don't even think there's a lot of people that get up and not only walk off the field. If you notice, he got up and he's the up man for the punt team. So he stayed on the field and played another play.
Yeah,
which
everyone else
he's
is
a tough
off the
guy.
field. Yeah, he's a stud. All right, and then TB12. I mean, how about that last drive? That was ridiculous.
Yeah, he's the most clutch athlete we've ever seen.
Dude, I just
Period.
love it. Like, he's going through the worst adversity in his life. You know, divorced the woman that he loved for 13 years. He's got 3 kids, all sorts of uncertainty. It's looking like, dang, bro, you should have stayed retired last year. Why did you come back? He's got all these potential things that could hold him back, and somehow, some way, comes back 17-16 with a win. And then, to make matters worse, they actually get the touchdown to Godwin. But then it's called back, and his left tackle totally tackles them. I mean, it's an obvious hold.
Yeah, he's the most penalized player in the NFL, by the way.
He is not a good player.
Yeah.
He's struggling. So, all right, so then they take your touchdown away, and now you got like 1st and 17 or something, 1st and 17 to get a touchdown, and they still get it in. And that 3rd down play, when he finds, is it White? Is that the running back?
Yeah, Rashad White.
Super clutch.
Yeah.
And he has to move around and put it there, and boy, that kid caught the ball with his hands and dove right over. Like, that was.
And it was great that they trusted him again because he's a rookie, and he fumbled just
a bad fumble.
What was that?
Fumble.
3rd quarter bad fumble.
Yeah, that was
they took him out for a while, let Fournette get in, get some reps, and then they trusted him down the road. So that was good to see.
No, that was a smart play too. You've got Julio, Mike Evans, the tight end, Godwin, and you go to the running back on 3rd down and then they score with 3 seconds left. So, he's the GOAT. Very impressive. 6'6". So hopefully they'll actually have a winning, schedule, and they'll have a winning season to get into the playoffs, because they're going to get into the playoffs, and they're going to be like the team with the worst record in the playoffs.
Yeah, which that would be Tom in the playoffs is scary regardless.
Oh, yeah. No one's going to want to play him.
Yeah.
All right, man. So tell us about your weekend.
Yeah, well, I woke up really early Sunday morning, and I flew to San Francisco to get myself to the game. Took my cousin and my brother out there and went to go root on the Dolphins. And I must say, one of my goals is to get to all 32 stadiums. And
I love
so I got to check that box. But
what's that stadium like?
It was nice. It was a beautiful stadium. I must say, maybe it's because we're different conferences. There's not a ton of playoff implications. The Niners fans were great. They weren't too hard. I've been to other stadiums where they're just.
I have been, and I found the Niners fans to be really cool people as well. Really cool people.
Very different than when the Raiders were right there.
But, a different brand for sure.
Yeah. Granted, I told everyone around me, hey, I went to BYU, love Steve Young.
Oh, yeah.
Love Ty Detmer. He had his little stint there. So we made friends. It was good. But, yeah, total swing of emotions. We get there, we take a touchback, and then first play of the game, Trent Sherfield goes for 75 yards and a touchdown. So we're hyped, we're pumped, talking a little smack, and then a few possessions later, we injure Jimmy Garoppolo. They put up on the screen he's out for the rest of the game.
He's out for the season?
Yeah, broke his foot.
That's huge.
Broke his foot, which is weird. My brother looked at me and said something looked off there, which I didn't even realize it. But yeah, he ended up breaking his foot. So we're thinking, okay, we've got Mr. Irrelevant. For those of you who don't know, that means he was the very last pick in the NFL draft. Okay. They call him Mr. Irrelevant.
Where did he play college?
I want to say Iowa State. Either Iowa or Iowa. I think it was Iowa State.
Yeah, okay.
Enters the game, and I give – he did a good job. I can't say all the credit. I give him some credit. But Shanahan played and called the perfect game for Purdy.
He's a smart coach.
It was very, very impressive. He utilized all of his tools. He got Debo involved. He got McCaffrey involved. He didn't put Purdy in a position where he was going to throw interceptions. The one interception he did throw was on 4th down, and we shouldn't have even picked it. It just lost us like 25 yards. We should have batted it down. But he was – I've got to give a lot of credit to the Niners. That being said, I still think Miami is a very, very good team down the stretch. A lot of people didn't realize we were out our left tackle, our right tackle, and our center this game, which that is not the defensive front you want to face with 2 brand new starters.
Oh, yeah.
But we are getting Armstead back.
Dude, Bosa on the edge, that guy is a – I would hate to have to block that guy.
Yeah, he's mean.
He's a specimen.
What's interesting is it was a total head game for Tua. Like, he was so off. He's overthrowing everyone. Yeah. He's dancing in the pocket. And these were plays where he didn't even have any pressure. Yeah. It's just the knowing and seeing Bosa on one side, Armstead on one side. It's brutal.
Scary. Yeah.
But we did just go pick up Eric Fisher. He was the number 1 overall pick, had his time with the Chiefs. He was a Pro Bowler in 2020, so he's now on the roster and should be beefing up that O-line.
It's the next game, right? Hey, like every team loses. It's a long season. It's 17 games now. It's not 16. And then going to the playoffs in January. So, hey, Miami's got to get back. They've got to get back on top of things and get a win next week.
Yep.
So that's where we're at there. So I guess the thing to say is, boy, the Niners are still very dangerous, even with the, Mr. Irrelevant. Is that guy rookie?
Yeah.
He's a rookie. Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Wow.
And they've got Tampa Bay next week, so that'll be a great defense, good test to see how good they are.
All right. Well, excited to see that. And then how about the Cincy Kansas City game? Dude, what can you say about Joe Burrow?
I love that guy. He's awesome.
Everybody in the league struggles to get a win against Kansas City and Patrick Mahomes. Surely they're not getting 2 in a row. He's won 3 in a row against Kansas and Patrick Mahomes, going back to last year and the AFC Championship game, which took them to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, he's super impressive, and they did it without Joe Mixon. I mean, he did get Jamar Chase back, and he's just it's weird to say it, but I think he's winning the head game with Pat Mahomes.
He's just another guy who's very clutch, and clearly Patrick Mahomes is pretty clutch himself, but Joe Burrow on 3rd and long, on 4th downs, he delivers strikes in between 3 defenders. He's very accurate. He's got like that gunslinger mentality, almost kind of like a Brett Favre back in the 90s, except he doesn't make the mistakes that a Brett Favre used to make.
Yeah, exactly. Kind of like more like a Drew Brees, right?
Yeah, he's got a gun and he's so smart. Yeah, very Drew Brees.
Yeah. No, they're a very, very scary team down the stretch. As they get healthy, they get Mixon back. It's all about who's hot going into the playoffs, and they are a very, very hot team right now.
You know what I didn't realize when I was listening to this with Troy Aikman and Joe Buck last night on Monday Night Football? They're like, guys, 2 years ago when the Bucs won the Super Bowl, do you realize they were 7-5, and then they didn't lose again? I'm like, wow, it just goes to show it's about who gets hot going into the playoffs, and Cincy is going to get hot. We'll see about the Bucs. Cincy's already hot. Like, who's hotter than them right now? I don't know that there is anybody hotter than them. They're dangerous. Well, actually, maybe the Eagles.
Yeah.
Maybe the Eagles are. I mean, they just continue to win, and Jalen Hurts just impresses me every single week. He's gotten so accurate. I think he was under 60% on his completion percentage when he first came into the league. I think he's at 67, 68 right now for the year.
Yeah, he's playing really, really good football. And you break it down, I mean, they do have a lot of playmakers, but they don't have these superstars, right? You look at it, Miles Sanders, good, solid running back.
Yeah.
You look at his receiving core, he's got some good playmakers. Devontae Smith went off. It was good to see the old Heisman a couple years ago do well. But these are guys that he doesn't have a Tyreek Hill. He doesn't have a Travis Kelce, and he's making plays. He's been very, very impressive. I didn't give him a lot of credit early on. I thought he was going to kind of fizzle out, but
I think we all did. He didn't have that resume. We were, he's going to be good all year long, and to everyone's surprise, he's been, and he runs all over people. And I was thinking, he's a 6'3", 6'4" guy. He's maybe 6'1", maybe shorter than that. So he's not the tallest guy in the world, but just super smart and good coaching and very accurate.
Yeah,
very accurate. Anticipate. Puts the ball on the receiver where they can catch it on the run. So, I mean, Eagles have to be the favorite, clearly, to come out of the NFC. I wouldn't put them
I'll tell you what,
Super Bowl, though.
When I give you my top 5 right now,
I'm excited.
There's one team that's hotter than both of them.
Well, last week we had a few people on TikTok give us comments about your guys' top 5.
Oh, okay. What do we got? What do we got, John?
So, a few agreed, a few are pretty upset.
So a few agreed with our top 5 on TikTok, but we had some disagreements.
What was our top 5?
That's okay. Disagreements are good in this country.
Last week's top 5, what did we put it at?
Okay, so this is start to bottom.
Okay. Chiefs.
Dolphins.
Cowboys.
Eagles. Bills. And then you guys talked about Vikings being right there.
Number 6. Number 6. I like it.
All right.
All right.
You want the adjusted top 5?
Top 5 as of right now.
As of right now, and then see if we make up for some of these comments. Yeah. Let's see what happens. Number 1, the hottest team in the NFL right now, as much as I hate to say this, the Dallas Cowboys. Take the number 1 spot in the top 5.
Ooh.
At number 2.
Stephen A. Smith does not agree with us.
I don't see anyone stopping them.
Well, listen, it comes down to your defensive line and your offensive line. Yes, the stars and the quarterback, super important. But if you can go in there and your defensive line can dismantle, wasn't it Minnesota that Dallas dismantled last week?
Last week it was the Colts.
It was the Colts. I mean, their line is really good. Yeah. Their defensive line can kill anybody.
Exactly. And you look at their offensive front, you've got 2 running backs that would be starters on any other. I mean, so that's – I'm going Cowboys, number 1. Okay. And we got the Cowboys-Eagles matchup pretty soon here. So this is going to settle itself. So I'm going Cowboys, number 1.
Okay.
I'm going Cincinnati, number 2.
Because they're so hot.
And that would be a fun Super Bowl right there.
And they just beat Kansas. I mean, I think most people put Kansas at the top last week, right? And
So you guys had to.
Yeah. So I'm going Dallas. I'm going Cincy.
Yep.
I'm going Philadelphia.
Yeah, I like it.
At the number 3 spot. I'm still keeping the Chiefs in the top 5 at number 4.
Okay.
And as badly as I want to say Miami right now, I've got to put Buffalo at 5 as they get healthy.
I agree. And Buffalo looked pretty good against the Patriots, who have played a lot of teams tough on Thursday Night Football.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, Minnesota, Miami, they're right there. Minnesota struggled with a very poor Jets team right now. I mean, I can't say Minnesota. So, John, what were those comments? What has people up in arms about this top 5?
So we had someone say, explain how Cowboys are better when Eagles beat them and have a better record.
That was a long time ago that they beat them. And so we'll find out. It's in the next week or 2.
And who was the quarterback at that time? That's right, Cooper Rush. So to answer your question, they've got their quarterback. He's getting healthy. He's getting hot. They got Michael Gallup back. They're getting better on defense.
There's a good chance they get OBJ.
Yes, very, very good chance. He'll come in as wide receiver 3, which good luck. That's a matchup nightmare.
I mean, you saw what happened with the Rams last year. OBJ in the beginning of that Super Bowl, he's just so dangerous. If he's healthy and he's dangerous – on top of everything else. And Kellen Moore, we were talking about this, the former Boise State quarterback who's the O coordinator there at Dallas, and I believe was the coordinator before Mike McCarthy took over. And Jerry Jones was like, that kid's staying because he's a genius, and he has proved it yet again. He is a genius offensive mind and play caller, and knows how to put people in the right position to succeed. So I agree. Dallas very dangerous, and Cincinnati. Those have got to be the two hottest teams in the league. You could say the Eagles are right there too, and certainly they are.
Don't get me wrong.
We'll find out.
I don't like the Cowboys. I want to say the Eagles right here. I'm just saying from the games I've watched, from the trends, from that recent loss that the Eagles had to Washington. I think the Cowboys are the better, more complete team right now.
And there's this thing about experience. And Dak's been through some crap. He's been through some experience, and
so has McCarthy.
As is McCarthy, and the Eagles and their coaching staff, they do not have that experience. And when you have, we've seen this over and over again. The team that has a really strong regular season, and then they get into the playoffs and they get into close games that they're not used to, and the pressure's there, and it's very difficult for them to succeed against the more experienced who's been there and been through the ringer, so to speak. And we usually see those teams that get hot come out on top there. So,
yep.
All right, let's transition to our World Cup segment. So, World Cup, it comes every 4 years for the men, every 4 years for the women's team. The U.S. Women's team has been good for a long time. The U.S. men's team has not been good for a long time. And I believe 4 years ago didn't even make it to the World Cup. Didn't even qualify to go. Is that right? Am I getting that right?
I think so. Soccer knowledge isn't great, but I believe so.
I don't think they even made the World Cup last year. And when they have made it over the last 12, 16 years, they haven't typically done well. And they usually don't get out of the group round where, they have a group of 4 teams in all these different little groups, and the top 2 come out, and the top 2 get into, let's call it the Sweet 16 of the World Cup. And so the U.S. made it out, got that win against Iran. We talked about it last podcast. Pulisic took one for the team literally to get that goal, took a little punch to the groin there. And so they come out on Saturday against Netherlands. And it was at 8 a.m. Mountain Time. So if you were in California, it was 7 a.m. So you're getting up early on a Saturday, which just says a lot about your dedication. Congratulations to everybody that got up early to watch the U.S. World Cup. Now, unfortunately, they went up against Netherlands, and Netherlands ends up beating them 3-1. And it was a tough game, but the U.S. definitely showed some improvement. Now, I don't know a lot about soccer, but my 13-year-old has been a goalkeeper on a Premier Soccer League team, and so we travel across the country to these tournaments, and it's year-round. Like, it never stops. And we've got RSL here in Utah, in Salt Lake City, and so we'll head over to RSL. That's where he practices in the winter. So last night I picked him up at the RSL Training Academy. Big, huge indoor training facility, beautiful facility. And this weekend we're going to head out to Portland. But here's what I have noted with soccer, just watching Marcus's team. There will be times, and this will just drive me insane, and this is what I saw on Saturday. So you've got kind of the box area, the U.S. goalkeeper's right here, and then you've got 4 or 5 defenders, and there will be literally 2 guys with Netherlands. So you've got way more defenders in the box. You shouldn't be allowing a goal. And magically, everybody just stands there, and one of the guys from the Netherlands just runs out to the middle, gets a quick pass, and just kicks it right in with no defensive pressure. And I've seen that happen to Marcus as the keeper. I'm like, what are you guys doing? And so it's so funny. At the highest level in the World Cup, I see the same thing, where U.S. had 5 defenders, Netherlands had 3, 5 plus their keeper, by the way. So actually they had 6. And they'll just watch as this guy and just not defend him or just not be paying attention or a little bit of both. And he'll just come get a wide open pass and he'll just knock it right in. And the U.S. had a lot of chances to score, but they didn't take advantage of them. And they would be off target and they would kind of press. And when Netherlands got their chances, they did. But that was frustrating to see that happen on the higher level. But the cool thing about the U.S. men's team is they are one of the youngest teams in the World Cup. And so in 4 years, if they keep getting better, there's a lot of potential, and a lot of experts are thinking that they've got a real chance to at least get to the Final Four, if not beyond. So that'll be interesting to see that with World Cup. As someone who doesn't watch a lot of soccer And I remember when I lived in Latin America and South America, I still didn't get it, but as my son's been involved, I've started to enjoy soccer a lot more. What do you think it would take for soccer, or do you feel like soccer is becoming more popular in this country? What are your thoughts there?
I think the MLS coming to the country is definitely helping get soccer back on the map. But the hard part is our best athletes in America don't play soccer. They play football or they play basketball or occasionally they play baseball. But you don't look at this freak athlete in high school that has all the physical specimen about you. They're not playing soccer.
What's the number one sport in this country?
It's got to be football.
Has to be.
Yeah.
I love football. I think it's without a doubt the best sport in the world. The drama, the players, the pain they go through, the beauty of passing and hitting and tackling, and the fact that it takes all 11 players. Like in basketball, you have a Michael Jordan and some 4 average guys. Hey, you can win a championship. But in football, that's not the case. You might have a really good quarterback, and that helps, but you've got to have 11 great players on that field and really play as a team.
And they engage every play. All 22 players are engaging every play. Yes, there's downtime in between, but so it's different. I mean, I don't want to say football is better than soccer right here, but I think the problem is that our best athletes don't play soccer. And when you're getting to the professional level, which all of these guys are, yes, I would imagine, I don't want to talk too much soccer, but they've got the foot skills, the passing abilities, the shooting abilities. I would like to think that the physical aspect has something to do with it. You look at a Cristiano Ronaldo, right, and his raw speed and vertical obviously have a lot to do with his success because of his skill set to go along with that. So, I mean, I'm in an argument with someone on Facebook, and they're like, why don't we throw Tyreek Hill out there? I'm like, these are professional athletes. It takes more than speed. If Tyreek Hill started training when he was 6 years old, yes, absolutely 100% because of his speed and abilities. But you can't just take these athletes and throw them on the soccer field. Usain Bolt, case in point, he made a pro team and he was not too good.
You never heard anything about it.
Yeah.
He's the fastest man in the world, but that doesn't translate into success. Like, you have to know this game. And soccer is one of those sports where they start kids off at like 1 when they're first walking. Like, that's when they start getting them into soccer, because you've got to be able to dribble and control the ball with your feet, just like we do with our hands in football. And but you're right. I mean, do you believe that if the U.S.'s best athletes in American football played soccer, that we would have, and started from when they were young, that we would have the best team in the world?
Oh, absolutely. You look at these guys in the NFL that are 6'2", 6'3", running 4.3, 4.4 40s with these incredible verts. If they had foot skills and understood the game, it'd be a scary soccer team.
Completely agree.
Yeah.
Completely agree. No question about it. All right, guys. Well, that's our soccer segment. We don't do a lot of soccer segments. Probably won't do one for a long time, but there's our World Cup 2022 results. So we'll see how the U.S. men's team does in 4 years. We'll see you in 2026 on that one. All right, let's move to mindset, the number one value and principle of successful people. And this is actually from a Huffington Post article. We don't always pull from the Huffington Post, but the article is 5 reasons to do what you say you will do. And we talk a lot about values and principles, at our company here. And Ty, like, what's an example of, maybe when someone did or didn't do what they said that they were going to do in business that just really impacted you?
Oh, man, yeah, that's
what comes to mind.
Yeah, I have an example of this would have been about 6-7 years ago. I was doing sales for a company, and the company itself actually had kind of fizzled out. They had lost a big contract, and they were kind of rebranding, changing gears, going on a different vertical, and I had left the company. And I was pretty good friends with the owners, and they had this whole thing where they always kept about 10% of your commissions in this reserve account in case you had a cancellation. Something like that. And so I knew I had that reserve account. I had left the company, and the deal was when you worked for them 90 days later that you get that reserve check, anything that didn't cancel or whatever. And so I'm thinking that company doesn't exist anymore. It's fizzled out. They've gone away. Yes, I still knew the owners, but I don't even think that the business bank account existed at that point.
Yeah.
And so the 90-day mark hits, and I'm just I think nothing of it. I've already got a new job. I'm already working, and all of a sudden I get a check in the mail for my reserve account, and it was signed by the owner himself. He just took it, I would guess, out of his pocket to pay me and do what was right. And we both have done a lot of business with them since then. They're one of our biggest accounts. They introduced us to that big Amazon group we travel with. And I know for a fact that this is someone that I can trust, and I've brought a lot of business to him over the years. And that simple act is something that I always think about. He didn't need to give me that money. I never would have brought it up again. But he did what he said he was going to do, and that stuck with me forever.
Dude, that just hits me emotionally. That's just so powerful. And it's so few the people in business and in life that follow through, that do what they say they're going to do. And you and I have seen this. We've seen this in previous companies. We've seen this where people don't keep their promises. They don't pay partners. They might be 6 months behind it. Who knows if they're ever going to pay them, or they are constantly changing their sales team's compensation plan and screwing with it and changing exactly what they had promised. And nothing kills the culture more in your company than messing with people's pay plans in a negative way, than not following through with the commitments that you make. And I'd rather go bankrupt than not follow through with that. And so, hey, if there's anyone out there, let me know if I didn't do something that I promised to, because we're going to move heaven and earth to make sure that we do exactly what we say we're going to do. And that was the first thing we did when we started this company, was we put that picture up on the wall. It's the first value and principle that we started with, doing what you say you're going to do. So here's what this article said that was interesting. The lady's like, listen, I experience this often. Someone says they will call, and then they don't. Someone says they will follow through on a project, and they don't. Someone says they will get something important finished by a particular time and date, and they don't. And that's where we expect this in today's world. And so I feel like if you actually do what you say you're going to do, where do you think you fall in the spectrum of businesses, of people? What percent actually follow through with everything they say they're going to do?
Not a lot.
Very small. I mean, I think it's 5 to 10% that do.
Yeah.
So you're saying, I'm saying 90% don't do this. They don't follow through. That one value and principle will lead to more success as a business owner, as an entrepreneur, as an employee, as a parent. Especially think about parents. I remember watching this video with one of my mentors in it, and he's just having his first kids, and he talks to this lady. And, she's had a bunch of kids, and he's like, hey, what's some of your keys to success as a parent? And she's like, do what you say you're going to do. If you tell your child there's going to be a negative consequence for doing X thing, you better follow through with it. And I think about my mom, who is so good about this. If I did that negative thing and she grounded me for 2 weeks, it was 2 weeks. It wasn't one. It wasn't 5 days. It wasn't 12. It was 2 weeks on the dot. And I think she really taught me an important lesson with that.
Oh, absolutely. And that's something that I look up to. I say my father, it's actually my stepfather, was very, very integral part of my life. I know for a fact if it could be the smallest little thing. If he tells me he's doing something, there is zero doubt in my mind he's going to do it. And that's why I trust him. He's the name on my will. He takes over my finances. Like, I trust him with the world. But I think a pointer I'd like to give people here with this, because when you say you're going to do when you say I will do what I say I'm going to do, sometimes it's not always the I'm lazy or I don't want to work. Sometimes it's the simple fact that you didn't put it on a calendar, that you didn't set up a task reminder, right? I had that situation. It was last week, Wednesday night. You and I were texting. I said, you know what, I'll go ahead and put together the outline for the show tomorrow. And you notice I sent you a text at like 12:40 a.m. I was laying in bed. I didn't set a reminder. I didn't put a calendar event. So I just went home. I did my thing. I was getting ready for bed, almost asleep, and it finally hits me, oh no, I didn't put together that outline. And because this is something that you and I preach so much, you better believe my ass got out of bed, got out my computer and put together the outline. But I almost made myself a liar, made myself a hypocrite because I didn't simply put it on the calendar. So if it's something that you struggle with, if you feel like you're constantly letting people down, not doing what you say you're going to do, but you're not a lazy person, maybe it's just a matter of getting more organized, finding the right app, finding the right calendar, the right task manager.
100%. And I love that Google Calendar. That's what we use. We have it connected to our calendar links, to our work emails, our personal email, my personal phone, like that Google Calendar, and you can have recurring tasks and events that pop up. If it's not on my calendar, it's not happening. And I think that's a huge key. If you're someone who really, you have the work ethic, the desire, you want to follow through and do what you say you're going to commit to, then put it on the calendar. Like when I do a podcast and hey, their team and their clients need access to funding, and I know I don't have time right now to send over that funding link and all the things I promised them, I better put it on my calendar or I'm going to forget. If I committed to send that email out, I better put it in my calendar that I'm actually going to create it. If I committed to a project, I better have it in my calendar that I'm going to do it. If I am doing a training, I better have it in my calendar. If there's an important meeting with your team, it must be in the calendar or it will not happen. I think that's a huge,
exactly, right? Even if you're not doing it at that exact time. I have stuff like that all the time where I'll say, reach out to John about scheduling meeting, and I'll drag that to different times, 10 different times before I actually do it. But the fact that there's always a follow-up event for that means that you will get to it, you will do it, and I think that's the key, is just getting it on the calendar.
100%. All right, guys, let's transition to our political topic. Today's political topic is brought to you by Elon Musk. Way to go, Elon Musk. So this is a article here. What do we got here? This is from The Hill, which is I guess a pretty well-known political website. And it says, censorship by surrogate, why Elon Musk's document dump could be a game changer. So I guess last Friday, there was this big document dump where it's called the Twitter files, and Elon is just kind of pulling the curtain back from Twitter and showing some of the things that have been going on. And, you know what? Actually, I don't think I filled out the information on this, so we will go right to the article. It says, handled, that one word responding to a 2020 demand to censor a list of Twitter users speaks volumes about the thousands of documents released by Twitter's new owner, Elon Musk, on Friday night. As many of us have long suspected, there were back channels between Twitter and the Biden 2020 presidential campaign and the Democratic National Committee to ban critics or remove negative stories. And I think the big one they're talking about here is ultimately, I guess, the New York Post was suspended from Twitter for reporting on the Hunter Biden laptop scandal. Twitter even blocked users from sharing the Post story. This was like just a few days before the election in 2020. And so that's what's tough for a lot of people, right? Our First Amendment in this country is free speech, and that you should be free to say things and free to share things. And of course, at that time, Twitter took down these articles, didn't let them be shared. And then I think 50 former CIA agents or professionals or something said, oh yeah, this is not Hunter Biden's actual laptop. And I think the biggest issue that people had with this wasn't that the president's son was making mistakes. And when you have kids, your kids are going to make mistakes, and you shouldn't be holding somebody. I mean, you can do everything right as a parent, and your kid may still make bad mistakes, and clearly that was what was happening with Hunter Biden. But the issue was, according to Hunter Biden's former partner and many articles on the Wall Street Journal and others, apparently there was an insinuation that somehow President Biden was going to be compensated as part of the things Hunter Biden was doing, and he was working with the Chinese and the Russians, all these crazy countries that aren't exactly our best friends, and getting paid millions of dollars by these countries, including China, who's definitely our biggest nemesis as a country for the U.S. right now. Everybody seems to agree with that. And yet Twitter, this was a big news story because President Biden could have been involved with that. It certainly seemed from the laptop, and according to the other articles, that was what they were saying was the case. And so all these things have been censored. What are we to make of censorship, and how is Elon Musk really trying to help with that? What do you think, Ty?
It's hard, right? That's a very hard topic because
that's a good thing to say.
You do want free speech. you want to be able to have a platform where you can truly be heard. And it's almost like you want to make it so if you're an adult, you're 18 years old, there's this policy, right? When you set up your account, hey, you're an adult, you get to decide what you want to believe, what you don't want to believe. We're not endorsing any of this. This is just a platform to be heard. But then the problem is it's so easy for kids to get on there. You can post photos. Pornography becomes an issue. So, it's a very, very complicated topic because, yes, free speech is very, very important, but it can also be extremely damaging if it's not controlled to an extent.
It really can. And I think the thing that we have to be aware of as like business owners and as parents is that someone on your team can post something on social and it can really have a negative impact on your company. Or in my case, one of my kids today actually got in trouble today at school for something that was kind of a joke but came out inappropriate and got him in trouble. And now that can hurt his reputation. So the thing that we have to all be aware of in 2022 going into 2023 is everything you say and do is being recorded. How many times have we seen, so-and-so said this on Twitter, Kevin Hart had a tweet from like 10 years ago and they said, sorry, you can't host the Academy Awards or whatever show it was because of this thing you said. Or you did this, or you said this, or a cheerleader, said something bad, 15 years ago, and your life gets ruined, which isn't right. That's not right. Nobody's perfect. If you think that you've lived your life perfectly and never made a mistake saying something, you're wrong. You did, and that could happen to any of us. But at the same time, boy, you better be teaching your team, you better be holding yourself accountable, and you better be teaching their kids that you are one bad thing that you said or did coming back to bite you in the ass and literally cancel and ruin your life. So you better be very careful about everything you say and do. Do your best, forget the rest, but just be very cognizant of that fact and realize that things you say can be taken out of context. And so you really have to be very judicious in the things that you're saying and doing and make sure you're believing in them and really doing your best not to it's this difficult thing not to hurt someone, but to keep it real and be accountable. And certainly our political leaders need to be accountable. But the big thing is hopefully social media applications will do their best to not censor real, true discussions and debates that we should have. Everybody agrees. Now CNN, it took them over 2 years to admit that, this was a legitimate story, and they finally admitted it. But that's the thing. Like, you can't censor real stories, and at the same time, we have to be careful about everything that we're saying because that's the world we live in.
Yeah, I mean, there's two rules for me. Number one, do not post when you're drinking. And number two, do not post when you're angry. Case in point,
probably
Lamar
the
Jackson
most important one.
Didn't play this week because of an angry tweet he made right after the game. What's crazy, though, is you go back, and I don't think we've ever talked about this. Are you aware of the Josh Allen tweets from his late high school, early college days?
No. What was he saying?
Just absurd, wrong, and disgusting tweets.
Oh, no kidding.
But they were before he had a name for himself, so I don't know if that's why they're looking past it, or maybe there was some sort of punishment that he faced early on. But if you haven't seen them, you look them up. But just all you have to do is look up old Josh Allen tweets, and it's crazy. They're deleted, but they're out there.
But they
live on forever. So I mean, just be very, very careful nowadays what you're putting out there. I mean, if you want to be heard, there's ways to be heard, but don't post drunk and don't post angry.
Dude, I think the anger one is so huge. The drunk one, sure, but the anger one, boy, that's what gets people in trouble. And the thing I always come back to, it was like, I think it was maybe 4.5, 5 years ago, we had a big partner in a previous company we were working with, and I was just dealing with this guy over and over, and they were just doing all this crazy stuff, and I didn't always agree with it. It wasn't always right, but they were an important partner, and I responded really quickly late one night to a dumb email that they sent, but at the time, we needed them more than they needed us, and I sent that email too quickly in kind of anger, and it really damaged that relationship and hurt the business at the time, and it was my fault. And so now every time I get an email, a phone call, someone does something really dumb, I always try to step back, and especially if you can take that extra time, an extra 24 hours to respond, your mind will be clearer. Sleep on it, get a workout in the next day, and then respond when you're clear-minded about what's going to serve you best, your business best, your company best, your family best. When you respond too quickly, that's how you get in trouble. I even think of, we had a lady who gave us a 1-star review, and I think I responded too quickly to her, and I even responded again and gave her more value and tried to help her, but I should have taken more time to respond to her bad review. And so those are the lessons you're constantly learning as a business owner, as a parent, and you better be teaching your team, your employees, and your kids about these things, because that is the world we live in. It's not going to change. Hopefully the pendulum will swing back more towards the middle, where something you said 10 years ago doesn't get you canceled, but you've got to be aware of all these things.
Yeah, absolutely. That's something. If it's a good idea today, it's a good idea tomorrow. So, I mean, take some time, compose your thoughts, get some tact behind it, and if you still need to post tomorrow, post tomorrow.
Exactly. And we're not saying don't be passionate about things that you believe, but think about it. How much is it going to serve you? And I think the biggest problem that people have today with social media in general is that they just want to fight. But if you're combative and just fighting, are you converting and changing someone's mind? No. If you really want to get what you want, what you really want is you want someone to agree and think the way you do. Well, you've got to make that case, and you've got to do it with love and empathy and with logic and reason. And even then, a lot of people are probably never going to change their mind because they don't think logically. They think emotionally, or there's an emotional connection or something in their past that you can't change their mind. And so the key is finding someone who wants to search for truth and then seeing if you can kindly debate the truth and find that truth with them. But if you're trying to convert people, that's the problem with Trump. Trump isn't converting people anymore. He's not changing their minds. They've already made their mind up, and he doesn't do enough to try and change their mind and to empathetically connect with them. And that can be said about so many people in politics. If you want to connect with the voter, if you want your team to get on board with a new project, then you have to put yourself in their shoes, and you have to connect and show them why this is going to benefit them. It can't be about you.
Exactly. You come at them with good, strong, solid, open-ended questions to let them know that you truly see and understand their side, so that you can then help them understand how you feel and why you feel differently. But if they don't think you understand their point of view and where they're coming from, then they don't give a shit about what you think.
And they're not listening.
Yep.
They're not listening. So if you want to convert people, if you want to convert a client, a partner, a team member, it's got to be done professionally. It's got to be done showing that you care about what they want. And that's like the secret to success. And it reminds me of a podcast done with Jim Britt, Tony Robbins' first coach, first employee. And I love this podcast because he's struggling. He's going bankrupt. And he sits down with this guy who's a mentor, and he's like, listen, there's 3 keys to success in sales and in life. Find out what the person's problem is, find out if they want to solve it, and then present your solution if it can really solve it. And if you go in every conversation just trying to help someone without worrying about anything in it for you, you'll make a lot of money and help a lot of people. And that's why business in 2022 can be great, because you have to deliver value or you're going to be out of business. All right, our final topic here is the family topic, and we've talked a little bit about this one over the last 4 episodes, but it's one that's not going away anytime soon, and it's the inflation story. This is from the nationwidefinancial.com. Never found them before, but they pulled up on this search and found it interesting. They say, here's their research. Inflation is by far the biggest financial concern of American families, with 60% citing the rising cost of living as their top financial challenge right now. Other big challenges were also related to household spending, with items like gas, staying on budget, and the ever-increasing housing costs and rent payments, energy costs. We keep seeing our heating costs and bills go up. And considering these challenges, families aren't expecting things to get better anytime soon. When asked survey respondents if they believed inflation will increase over the next year, most 90% said they either strongly or somewhat agree or think that will happen. And that could help explain why a majority of families in the survey, 55%, view their current financial situation negatively. So families going into 2023, business owners going into 2023 are expecting more difficulty related to inflation. What are some of the action items that business owners can take to deal with inflation, or families?
Yeah, I think the number one thing there is knowing where your finances stand, right? And that goes well beyond just logging into your credit card accounts and logging into your bank accounts, utilizing the softwares that we have in this day and age, like a myfigures.com, get everything in one single platform, see how you're spending, create budgets, be accountable to yourself or to your employees or to your business partners. That would be my number one thing, is knowing where your finances stand.
And that's the problem. I think most people don't. I think most business owners don't. I remember in a previous company, like I never knew if we were actually profitable, and I had a sense that we were not, because the finances had become so convoluted and so complicated. And so the first thing we did with this company was we sat down with your dad, who's a CPA, and I'm like, I want to know that we're profitable every single week, or if we're losing money, I want to know. And we put together the rules in the accounting software, and now we track that. And then the next thing was, well, how can we help everybody? I'm tired of logging into 50 websites, and that's why we built the myfigures.com app, so that business owners don't have to log into 50 different websites to manage banking, loans, lines of credit, investments. You can log into one place and see everything right there. And it comes back to the calendar, right? If it's in your calendar to review your business and personal finances every single week at the same time, it's going to happen. And if it's not, then it's not going to happen. And for me, I do it every single Sunday. I go through that, and I was going through the My Figures Money Manager, and I was going through the spending. And this spending section, you can go back year to date, month to date, and I'm like, oh my word, what am I spending my money on? What are we doing here? Yeah. But it was very eye-opening to go through that. There is some wasteful spending that can be eliminated, that should be invested or saved. And if you're not paying attention to that, then you have no idea.
Yeah, and you can actually hold yourself accountable. That's what I love. As far as I was doing the same thing, and me and my wife sat down a couple months ago. I was going through the spending and realized, oh my goodness, I'm spending so much money on food. Realized we had a DoorDash problem. And so we set a goal for 30 days. We didn't DoorDash. But it categorizes and breaks it down. If you're spending way too much on fuel, well, there's apps out there that help you find better prices. Maybe you need to find a way to carpool a little bit more. If it's food, you need to cook more meals at home or get more creative with coupons. I gave that advice to everyone a couple weeks ago. So I said, you know what, I've got to do what I say I'm going to do. And I got all connected with, I think it's pronounced Ibotta, IBOTTA, and I got it set up, got my account created, and I realized there's a lot of things that I buy actively, like diapers, that I could have been getting $3-4 back every single time, and that's well over 7% discount. And guess what? I just beat inflation right there. So figure out where you have the problem, and then you can figure out how to create a solution.
And sometimes it's teamwork in business, and it's teamwork with your family. And thank goodness my wife is really good at being very strict with budgets and coupons and savings, and she's always looking at where the best deal is at the grocery store and where we can save money with this, that, and the other. And really appreciate that. And so in your partnership, if you can get on the same page as business partners, as couples, that's where you can get your finances right, when you're kind of all on the same page with that. And speaking of getting on the same page, if you're a business owner, you're looking to start a business in 2022, that's why we've got we've got a new training coming up on December 21st at 8 o'clock Eastern time. This is going to be a business plan 2023 training, and we put together for years I'd put together business plans that never came to fruition. When I started doing it in the right sequence, structure, with the right goals, and with some emotional things that would get me excited. The problem with most business plans is people By February 15th, they don't even look at them, kind of like the people go to the gym and they're going to get in shape. And by February, everybody's not going to the gym anymore. And so it's the same thing. If you guys want to get your business plan for 2023 built out right for your existing business or a new business or your family, finances, investments, whatever, then join us. It's a free training. We'll put the link in the notes section here. Email it out to you guys. Love to see you there. December 21st. It'll be a Zoom. And that, my friends, is episode 4. What did you think? How was the episode?
It's a great episode. December 21st. Put it in your calendar.
Good times, guys. All right, God bless. We will see you. We should have a podcast on Thursday, same time, 2 to 3 Eastern Standard Time.